40 years ago, Apple released its now iconic ad, 1984. That was 40 years ago? Oh boy. Let's watch.
Today we celebrate the first glorious anniversary of the information purification directives. We have created, for the first time in all history, a garden of pure ideology, where each worker may bloom, secure from the pests, obeying contradictory thoughts. Is more powerful a weapon than any fleet or army on earth. We are one people, with one will, one resolve, one cause. Our enemies shall talk themselves to death, and we will bury them with their own confusion. We shall prevail.
On January 24th, Apple Computer will introduce Macintosh. And you'll see why 1984 won't be like 1984.
Steve Jobs aligned the then upstart as a nonconformist and an independent entity. Now Tim Cook, Apple's chief executive, posted the latest advertisement called Crush on Tuesday to launch its new line of tablets. Let's watch that one.
We watch the melting snow. So as summer follows spring, all the things you do give me a reason to build my world around you. Come and follow rainbows, I am sure.
The most powerful iPad ever is also the thinnest.
All I ever need is you.
Mr. Cook wrote on X, quote, "Meet the new iPad Pro, the thinnest product we've ever created. Just imagine all the things it'll be used to create." The new ad drew backlash from creators, some in the creator community, who saw it as a metaphor for how big tech has crashed artistic tools that people have used for centuries. Actor Hugh Grant wrote on X, quote, "The destruction of the human experience courtesy of Silicon Valley." And one other X-user wrote in his reply to Tim Cook, quote, "Who thought this was a good idea? Did you hire the one person that liked the scene in Who Framed Roger Rabbit where the bad guy dips the animated shoe in the tune-killing bath?" It's a great movie.
All right, so there was a lot of this comparing the old ad to the new, pointing out, this is a Twitter user named James Clark. He said, Apple's new Crush ad, it's a visual and metaphorical bookend to the 1984 ad. 1984, monochrome, conformist, industrial world exploited by colorful, vibrant human. 2024, colorful, vibrant humanity is crushed by monochrome, conformist, industrial path.
People hated this ad. The reaction was intensely negative, but you have a hot take.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I understand what people are saying, but there's 2 points. One is that understanding this ad requires having some contemporary media literacy about TikTok trends. And if you're like me and you watch your TikToks or watch them on Instagram, my first reaction to this was, oh, this is one of a genre of these crush ads that are kind of like ASMR, kind of these satisfying videos of watching various sorts of objects getting crushed by these hydraulic machines. And there are commentators that put voiceover and do duet videos with these, and they're really funny and they're really satisfying. And the gist of those is that there's a kind of indescribable, ephemeral, like instinctive feeling about what kind of objects give you a good smush and what kind of objects don't give you a good smush. But the point of those videos is not like, I hate the thing being smushed. It's that there's something that's satisfying that comes out at the end. So when I saw...
It's in the way that popping bubble wrap is satisfying.
Exactly. And so...
Yeah, I actually know exactly what you're talking about. Right now there are people watching, going, like, if you know, you know, going, what are you talking about? But I have seen the videos. Now, I've never watched them with commentary before.
Yeah, there's one British woman who I think is particularly funny, and I think her instincts about what is a good smush and what isn't a good smush, they align with my instincts, so I think she's very good.
Is the ceiling getting a little closer right now?
But that's the thing. It's not ominous. These videos aren't threatening, and there's no ire directed at the thing being crushed. I know that you might think squishing something obviously means you hate it, that it's bad, that you want to destroy it, but that's not really the vibe of the video. So I
tell that to a plush toy.
I watched the video for the first time. Frankly, it didn't interpret it negatively. And then the second part of why I think I didn't have that same reaction was that of all the things that tech has hurt, whether you're talking about kind of automation and putting people out of their jobs, whether you're talking about just not liking auto-tune, none of those trends are about like killing instruments. People still use instruments. People still use guitars aren't under threat from big tech. So the analogy that people I think are trying to make that this iPad's going to put music and creatives out of business, it feels a little imprecise.
Yeah, it goes into that kind of, people just have a nostalgia, a reflexive nostalgia for the past. Like, I remember, this is going to be really, well, you've said something weird about your personal consumption habits now. So I used to like cutscenes from video games that I really liked, that I would want to watch over and over again as a kid. You'd have to like, create a save file right before that moment in the game, and then you could go into that save file to watch that scene. Now, like, I can just find it on YouTube in seconds if I want to watch it. Or like the music I like to listen to that was I really like video game music. I'd have to like put the game on in the background or something while I was like, hanging out with my friends.
What do you mean
now
you really like video game music?
Like the music that plays in the background. It's like orchestra music sometimes. Well, that's Mario, yeah. But there's
you just listen to that like for
not
fun
that
too?
one specifically. There's some really
like
good
Tetris,
composers.
Which is like what Tchaikovsky
No, like
in the background?
other Mario, Zelda. People pay money to go to concerts of Zelda. People like me, concerts of Zelda music being performed. It's beautiful. It's great.
All right, yeah.
So anyway, the point being, the simplicity of the iPhone, the iPad, has made it so much easier to access so much more content, music, video, literature. I mostly read books by listening to them while I work out. So this is a good thing, but I understand, at the same time, I do understand people saying like, we're all only staring at our screens all the time. It can be healthy to, paint it out in nature or something rather than just doodling on your...
But an iPad just fundamentally doesn't replace a piano. If you're mad the piano's being crushed because in an abstract way, I mean, that's fine. But are you also mad when at a Kiss concert someone breaks a guitar? Like, that's rock and roll.
I don't think they were
cool,
mad about. I don't think people were mad about. Well, I don't know. I didn't interpret people being mad about the iconoclasm of it. I
feel like they were.
I thought they were mad about the replacement of, or again, which I'm not agreeing with this criticism, but that. Interaction with these kinds of things has been replaced with just interactions with a machine.
But that's not even true.
Yeah.
Well,
I agree. That's what people were saying.
Like Atari video games or what do you call like a video hall? What do you call like a ping pong?
Game Boy.
No, the big ones.
Oh,
arcade games. They didn't put arcade games out of business. Arcade games haven't been around.
Right.
Since for 20 years.
Well, you can still go to a classic arcade and play.
And you can, and there's a resurgence, I think, of analog activities precisely because of how online people are. It's almost as though the more kind of sleek and integrated the world gets on our computers, the more appreciation there is for the more tactile elements of your. I'm someone who recently put together Atari-shaped Lego that I got from my brother for, I think, Christmas last year. I love all of those analog things too. But my reaction to that ad wasn't that the iPad is some threat that to all of these kind of analog activities, and that this commercial is emblematic of how it's good that all of these analog activities are going the way of the dinosaur. It felt much more like, oh, this is a facilitator where you can get all these different kinds of music and games and whatever else you want to do on an iPad in addition to this other stuff. And I think that part of what my brain was doing was going to the obvious reference, which is these videos, which aren't about hating the thing that's being crushed. It's just like a TikTok reference.
Yeah. I thought it was a cool ad. I didn't have any problem with it. I mean, it was a little. Maybe people were reading like Black Mirror into it, like the AI, the sentient machine is coming for all of us. I know we've talked about all the Black Mirror episodes, which have this almost, to my mind, over the top fear and hatred of technology and how it will only ever be used for ill.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people that I really like hated this ad, so don't come for me. I totally see where they're coming from. It kind of, I feel like it has people doing that knee-jerk thing where, the notion of book burning is authoritarian, right? Like Fahrenheit, like there's this idea that to burn a book is necessarily like a symbol of fascism. But certainly it's the case that people have crap, stuff they got, old school books, stuff that's out of date, stuff that's falling apart. And at some point it gets disposed of. And now we're going to say this is authoritarian for, your self-help book from 20 years ago, your Tim Robbins book with the torn out pages gets thrown into a trash heap. Like, have a little bit of context here for what the messaging is about.
Yeah, I thought the criticism was more about how we're all so addicted to our screens. And it used to be, people think it used to be healthier to not be so
I get that. But fundamentally, an iPad will never replace a piano, a guitar, an Atari. Yeah. Like, it's a weird, it just doesn't map on. Now, if they had an ad about like an electronic keyboard or electronic drum set, and then a real drum and a real keyboard getting crushed, 100%, those things are replacing those things.
Right, but no one would say.
So if you're crushing the typewriter and someone's like on a computer, no one's using a type. It's a good thing that we have computers.
No one wants to use a computer instead of a typewriter. That's always crazy when you think about that. As recently as like my parents' generation, when my parents went to college, they did term papers on a typewriter. They had to get out whiteout if you made a typo or something. That's crazy. And then the generation before that was I don't know, writing them by hand.
Yes, my mother was a legal secretary in college to pay her way. She's one of the fastest typers I know, and inspired me to also become a 100 words a minute style typer when we were learning to type, which is the thing we had to do when we were in middle school. I don't know about you. Me, when I was in middle school.
Mario teaches typing, another Nintendo reference.
I was a native speaking kind of girl. Representation is important. But I love typewriters. I'm also a person who has constructed a Lego typewriter. Now you're seeing that I have a bit of a Lego problem and a storage problem happening in my house.
I love typing because I'm left-handed, and writing by hand is miserable for left-handed people because we smear everything we write.
There you go. But I'm saying that even though we can all obviously understand the values of progress, it doesn't mean you hate the old thing. And I guess maybe I'm projecting too much of my own orientation onto this ad, but I didn't take it as the things that are being crushed are bad, and that we have to flatten the world and replace everything that's colored and textured with something electronic. I thought it was a pretty straightforward visual representation of all of the things that this pad can do, and that, hey, remember those TikTok videos with that funny British lady? Aren't those great? Yeah, I think they are.
I think we should get some free iPads for doing all this good PR for
Sure, I wouldn't mind doing my little research here on an iPad. Hint, hint.
Tomorrow on Rising, the Friday team, Amber and Jessica, will be here, and I believe Jessica is in Washington, D.C., so it'll be an in-person interaction for you all to watch.
Be sure to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss any content. For those of you who like to listen while you're on the go, we're now available anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Bye-bye.
Take care.